This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening. I'm Natalia Hall. Thank you so much for tuning in. Topping the news, medical assistance is on the ground in East Grand, Bahama. As you may recall, the Emergency Medical Center in High Rock was destroyed during Hurricane Dorian, and the Ministry of Health partnering with an international medical care group to provide medical assistance to residents in that area. The medical team set up office yesterday thanks to the efforts of a well-known Bahamian sports figure. Rumiko Knowles has more.
Doctors, nurses, and mental health experts and loads of medical supplies are on the ground in the Eastern District. A makeshift hospital was set up in High Rock to replace the government clinic that was destroyed during Dorian. Director of Emergency Response, Susan Manjacaro, says they're happy to be at East End to serve.
So we've seen probably a couple of hundred patients so far, giving out tetanus shots, providing critical medications. People run out of meds, and providing antibiotics where people need them. So just kind of here to serve the community because of the crisis with healthcare not being available currently. And we're working with a local hospital, so supporting Brand Memorial with their nurses and doctors as well. So making sure that we're here to help, not to replace you.
Son of the soil and former professional football player Myron Roll is a neurosurgery resident at Harvard University, specializing in brain surgery and spine surgery. Roll was moved by the trail of devastation left by Hurricane Dorian and came home to offer his professional service.
It's obviously a devastating storm. Don't need to tell that to anybody, but anything that we can do as our group to provide good medical care for people who have lost a clinic or lost a follow-up, chronic conditions, we're here to do that. And for me personally, it means a lot to me to come home and do it.
Now the clinic opened on Monday, and the medical professionals say they're working to cover the entire Eastern District. Rumiko Knowles, ZNS Network News.
Thanks so much, Rumiko. In other news, another group of international medical officials are on the ground in the inner city area of Freeport. Members of this group with close ties to the Bahamas say they are just happy to be able to give back to the country that has been good to them. Since the passing of Hurricane Dorian, a number of volunteers from various sectors have been on the ground providing relief assistance. Included in that is a group of Goodwill volunteers, a group of Bahamians now living abroad. Former St. George's High School student Shaquanda Roll Weaver is heading a medical team providing help on Grand Bahama. The group arrived on board the Celebration cruise ship and went straight to work, offering medical service in the Freeport area. Roll Weaver says they are also offering food, other supplies, and are even assisting with reconstruction.
We have a group that's also working on 2 of the fire stations and bringing equipment that will be able to help the fire department. And right now what my group is doing, we were here in the ghetto yesterday and we're back today just bringing the supplies that we did not have, and we're able to provide more medication.
Now our ZNS News team caught up with the group in the Garden Villas community where many residents received help. Physician Nicole Higgs says it was in her heart to come and help.
I'm so glad that I came. There's a real need here. Bahamians are a proud people, and so we found ourselves having to not necessarily set up a clinic, but literally go from house to house and find out who needs what. We sort of used the first day as a fact-finding mission to see what people needed.
Dr. Leonie Pierre Burnett says she had an opportunity to visit several communities on Grand Bahama over the past week, and there were many issues.
We had kids with rashes, and we had a baby that's on phenobarbital. They didn't have anymore, and then she also have a cold, so we gave that. And then we had the mom also had some rash, and then we got some UTI, like urinary tract infection, of course, because they're not drinking, so that's one of the causes. So we gave them water and we gave medication for that. And then we had a lot of people with hypertension. It can be from the stress, but they also complain that they do have hypertension.
Roll Weaver says she's also concerned about the mental state of residents on Grand Bahama and Abaco. She's adamant that residents should seek help after going through such a devastating situation.
The social services at the RAN, they have clinical social workers, they have psychologists, so please don't feel like if you seek mental health, you're crazy. No, it's not. We all need it. And at this time, I ask the public, please go and seek help. Even if you just need to vent, let something out. Don't hold it in.
The Old Bahama Bay Resort coming to the aid of hurricane victims on Grand Bahama. The resort bringing in tons of supplies for residents throughout Grand Bahama. Jay Philippe takes a look.
Old Bahama Bay Hotel, in conjunction with Customs, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, and NEMA, handing out much-needed hurricane relief supplies to residents in West End.
We started this a couple of days before the hurricane. John McDonald knew that the hurricane was going to really greatly impact this area. So he reached out about 3 days before the hurricane to Member of Parliament for West End, Ms. Patricia Parker, and a couple of people to make preparation to get the exemption needed to bring in this stuff and to start the ball rolling.
Culmer says Old Bahama Bay has been helpful for many residents in West Grand Bahama.
Our goal was to restore Old Bahama Bay, West End community, and the Grand Bahama as quickly as we can. And we've done this and surpassed what we did in 2004 with Francis, in 2016 with Matthew. And this is much bigger, and we're still going. And there's more to come, lots more to come. So, we just wanted to help the community of Grand Bahama to, restore itself.
West End and 8 Mile Rock residents, not the only recipients. A few organizations in the inner city of Freeport have also benefited from relief items.
The community of West End is used to this. They've responded positively. They've been down here just about every day getting stuff. Even West Grand Bahama, Freeport, we've sent stuff into Dudley Sage, Reach Out Ministry. We've sent stuff into High Rock. We've landed planes in Freeport. We've sent stuff throughout the whole island, separate from what we're distributing here to people from the whole island.
Culmer says more items will be coming in the next few days.
This thing just seemed to be much bigger than we anticipated. We have trailers that are coming in through G&G. I've asked John to make sure the trailers have a little bit of everything in it, so we don't have the task of dealing with 8 trailers. We can just put a trailer in each area and let either the MP or the NEMA official deal with that. We'll just deal with the trailer for Old Bahama Bay and the community of West End, but we have trailers that are lined up and ready to go. We have DC trees that are flying in daily. How long is this going to go? I don't know, but it would seem like it's going to go until everybody puts their hand up and say, I'm full.
I'm Jay Philippe, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Jay. The Rotary Club playing a big role in ensuring that residents are provided with an adequate supply of fresh water post-Hurricane Dorian. Plant manager Mike Stafford says the water plant in Hawksville has been running 24/7 since the all clear has been given, providing clean water to the general public. He says the plant has been and will be open every day until 4 p.m.
And given the gallons per minute that we produce and the hours that the plant has been running, early this morning we surpassed the 100,000 gallon mark of water that we've given away. And this is pure drinking water. We draw our water from a well and we put it through a reverse osmosis machine, and the quality of the water is very pure. We've also are still operating all the clinics, all of the shelters, and we got teams that take water all the way to McLeanstown, High Rock, what's left of Pelican Point, and West End, 8 Mile Rock, and parts in between.
Rotary needs your help to continue their efforts.
We've got a lot of things going on, and being that we're proactive and that Rotary's a proactive organization, we're having trouble keeping up with the demand. This storm is a monster. So we want to add another system. Right now we can produce 7,500 gallons of water a day, and we want to double that. So we want to buy the exact same system so that the parts are interchangeable. And by the way, we have all the spare parts for the system in there now. And that system will be elevated and wall mounted, so we had a flood of 3 feet, so we want to elevate that. And that's a $60,000 investment. So we're asking corporate support, private support, to help us. And when you give your money to Rotary, you know it's going to the right place.
Now, if you wish to donate, the Rotarian says there's a secure bank account. An interested person should email bahamapro@hotmail.com. In other news, the domestic and international airport sustained significant damage as a result of Hurricane Dorian. The Ministry of Public Works preparing to assess the damage. Senior civil engineer Francis Clark gave an update on their plans during the NEMA's press conference yesterday afternoon.
I would like to report that soon after the airport was open, the Ministry of Works dispatched a reconnaissance team. And basically this team was a needs assessment team. So to date, based on our needs assessment, the Ministry of Works sent 3 teams on the ground. One team will be here for a week, and another team will be here for a month. What we'll be carrying out are some damage assessments to building structures, particularly residential buildings. We will take the data compiled from that, and that will be used to inform the approach to recovery.
Now, there is some degree of damage to public infrastructure. Clark says emergency work was carried out along the Grand Bahama Highway, and a major bridge has been reinstated, bringing some normalcy for the motoring public.
Further, we will be carrying out some detailed scoping for the permanent works. And some of these permanent works include sea defenses, culverts, and roadways, particularly in the McLeanstown area and the High Rock area. We also have a team that will be carrying out damage assessment to public buildings, public infrastructure, particularly government buildings, schools, administrative offices, etc. And I also would like to report that the Ministry of Works is open as normal for business.
Education has not yet made a decision on the reopening of public schools on Grand Bahama. Many schools sustained damage, while others need water and electricity to be restored before students are allowed to return. Today, President of the Bahamas Union of Teachers was able to assess schools in the Freeport district. Jamila Mizik reports.
Some public schools on Grand Bahama taking a major blow from Hurricane Dorian, leaving many of them inoperable. Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson touring some of those schools.
We've already looked at Freeport Primary School. We're here at Walter Parker. We've met with both of the principals just to make sure that they're okay, and we also are concerned about the students and teachers that will be coming from the East End, knowing that the East End would have had a lot of damage. So I'm going to actually meet with the district superintendent, Mr. Butler, to see how they intend to absorb those students and the teachers to make sure that the redeployment or the reassignment is conducive for the students and the teachers.
Now Wilson and her team also visiting the Hugh Campbell Primary School, one of the schools severely damaged by Hurricane Dorian. There she met District Superintendent for Grand Bahama, Bimini and the Keys, Ivan Butler, who says for the past 2 weeks, crews have been working to remove all damaged materials from the classrooms.
We're in the process of emptying our rooms, stripping them right down to the core so we can begin the process of mold remediation and repairs as necessary. So what you see going on is a lot of help in terms of doing our best to get our rooms prepared for whenever this school can be ready.
Butler says the Morrismore Primary School also received water damage, but they are confident that the school is now in pretty good shape. Now Wilson is requesting that schools on Grand Bahama not be opened until September 30th.
I think they should, because it calls for compassion and it calls for thinking and putting yourself in someone else's shoe. And if a teacher is not mentally prepared, if they do not have the physiological needs, which is clothes, food, and shelter, how is it that they're able to stand before students and impart knowledge? And remember again, a lot of their students have been impacted and their families. So it's just a matter of having empathy and opening your heart to care for others. And I hope that this does not have to become adversarial, or we don't have to go into the industrial action mode, So I'm calling upon them to let's work with the union and work with our members and the students and their families to bring some level of peace and comfort to them. So I believe another 2 weeks would assist them greatly.
Now, the BUT president says progress is being made, but notes that the union will continue monitoring water and electricity restoration. Butler adding that until schools have potable water, no decision has been made as to the opening date. Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
Now, the Bishop Michael Alden High School will reopen on Wednesday, September 18th, that's tomorrow, from 7:50 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Students may wear jeans, a BMES t-shirt, or PE kits and tennis. In keeping with the recommendations from the Grand Bahama Utilities and Water Company, students should take bottled water and hand sanitizers. Hot lunches will also be available. St. Paul's Methodist College advising the public that the school will remain closed until September 23rd. All students are asked to return to school on Wednesday, September 25th at 9 a.m. Casual wear is permitted. Virtually every sector of society was interrupted 2 weeks ago when Category 5 Dorian battered Grand Bahama. Even sections of the media were assaulted and were unable to record the history-making story. Grand Bahama's leading newspaper was rendered inoperable in the aftermath of the storm. Jamila Mizik has more.
One of Grand Bahama's major news and advertising outlets is now temporarily out of operation post-Hurricane Dorian. The Freeport News, a local daily, has been compromised by flood damage. The newspaper has been in operation from the 60s, and managing editor Fred Sturp says this is the first time something like this has ever happened.
Here at the Freeport News, we were under 4 feet of water for about 3 days. It's the entire building complex and the vehicles in the parking area. So we sustained a lot of damage. A lot of the newsprint equipment, furniture that was on the ground, all saturated and not available to be used.
He says restoring the company's West Cedar Street office is not a priority at this time, but instead they will be relocating.
We have already begun the process of moving to the old Size restaurant in R&D Plaza and the leather store right next to those two shops. We're going to combine them and utilize them as our new premises.
Now, Sturp says it has been difficult continuing business since the office has been destroyed, but they plan to get back up and running as soon as possible.
It is an urgent matter, and I've just been fielding so many calls and even emails about when we're going to restore our operation. But it's just been a unique situation. If, for instance, the planes were flying in, then with the internet and with our emails, we would have been able to put some stories out, even some photographs, and put the pages together and get them printed at the Nassau Guardian in New Providence and get them in. But that's problematic. And of course, 2 of our vans, our delivery vans, that they were submerged in 4 feet of water, so they're out of operation. So we just felt that we'd use this time to just facilitate ourselves and get back together. And we're moving into the new premises, and it's probably be another, I'd say, 3 weeks to a month before we get back in operation again.
Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
Stay with us. There's more news right after this break.
KMW Battery and Tire Sales is offering oil change for just $49.99 plus VAT. Includes oil and filter. KMW is located on West Settlers Way.